Hey guys, it's Becca. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be sharing our story.
Yes.
I've never really talked about this before on my channel, and we definitely have a unique story in the sense that we met, dated, got engaged, got married, all within 10 months of knowing each other.
Some say it was an arranged marriage, but I can attest
It was not.
It was not.
We just knew. But I'm really excited to share our story with you guys. So let's get started. Okay, so I had just started my senior year of college, and my sister had just went to a Bible study where she met Andy. And she called me when she got home that night and said, Becca, I just met your husband. You need to come home and meet him. So naturally, I'm thinking, that's crazy. Life does not work that way. There is no way. So a few weeks went by where she would just very subtly send me pictures of him or tell me that she bumped into him somewhere, or...
It was probably about 8 weeks that this was all taking place.
Yeah, and I had decided, I was like, no, I'm not interested in anybody right now. I'm not interested in dating. No. So I came home for fall break. So at this point, yeah, a couple months had gone by where my sister had been kind of like, you really need to meet this guy. Trust me. So I come home for fall break and I finally actually meet him. And, you know, we had a very basic conversation. I don't know. It wasn't anything
very generic, get to know you.
Yeah, it wasn't like sparks were flying or anything. It just was very like, hi, nice to meet you. And then that was that. And you eventually got my number and asked me to coffee, which, okay, this is a funny story. Should we add this story in about our first date?
No. Oh, no? First date, yeah.
Yeah. You coming to pick me up at my mom's house.
Yes.
Okay, you tell it from your perspective.
So, you know, first date, of course I want to impress her as much as possible. So there's a lot of pressure. And then, yeah, so pull up, ring the doorbell, and took a second. And I heard some talking in the background, and I couldn't quite tell what they were saying. But her mom actually answered the door. And so she, you know, opened the door and kind of looked back for a second. And I was thinking, like, what is she doing? What's going on? And she shut the door.
Literally slammed the door in his face.
And so I'm standing there confused, like, is that my cue to leave? Because I don't want to, you know.
Yeah. So then I opened the door and I tried to play it so cool, like, I'm so sorry. So basically what had happened was I was waiting for this guy to come pick me up. My mom and I are super, super close, and I was so excited telling her all about this guy. Like, yeah, he's gonna come pick me up at 7 o'clock, and he's on his way right now. Well, the doorbell rings, and it's Andy.
And it's 7 o'clock.
And it's 7 o'clock. My mom jumps up, oh, who could that be? I'm thinking, is she joking? Like, we just talked about this. And as she's running to answer the door, I thought, how embarrassing. My mom is gonna answer the door. I think I was 21 at the time. 21. Yeah, 21. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, how embarrassing. My mom's gonna answer the door to a first date. Like, I do not want that. So I'm shouting down the hallway, Mom, don't answer the door. Like, I wanna answer the door. So that was what the talking was going on behind the scenes that he wasn't aware of. So instead of saying, oops, sorry, come on in, she slammed the door in his face.
Didn't say anything.
To give me the opportunity to answer the door.
Yep.
So anyway, but that was the start of our first date, was my mom slamming the door in your face. And yeah, but we had a pretty perfect first date, I would say. We went to coffee, of course, and we pretty much talked for like 5 or 6 hours. I know that seems extreme.
The place shut at 11 o'clock. I picked her up at 7.
Yeah.
And we stayed a little past closing. So
yeah, we
talked for a while.
Closing. So yeah, that was our first date, and I was pretty impressed with I don't know, just with everything, just who he was and everything he stood for, what he believed in. And he came prepared with questions and everything. I mean, this was just unlike any first date. So I was pretty impressed. Well, the end of the weekend comes, I go back home.
We went on a second date.
We went on a second date and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So the end of the weekend comes though, we'd gone on 2 dates, and I'm driving back to school for classes Monday morning, And I decide, you know what? I don't know what it is. I just don't think I'm interested. So I text him this really just like very blunt, but like, I don't even know how to
Sorta
describe it.
kind.
Like,
Sorta kind.
Yeah,
but
just
thanks
like,
but no thanks kind of thing.
yeah, it was a very thanks but no thanks kind of text. No idea what prompted me to make this decision, to just be like, you know what, you're a nice guy, but I'm just not interested. Like, thanks for the date, but you know, best of luck in life.
And I'm thinking, okay, home run with date number 1.
Yeah.
Home run with date number 2. So back-to-back home runs, and then I get shut down. So came out of left field for me.
Yeah,
So.
I know. And so I'm driving back to school. I talked to one of my best friends. I talked to my mom, and I let them know, yeah, I just told them I wasn't interested. And both of them were like, Bekah, you could potentially be passing up your dream man. Like, what are you doing? So they both talked some sense into me. I get home the next day. I actually called you. I was like, hey, can we jump on the phone? And so that's when I talked to him on the phone, and I just was like, hey, I'm so sorry. That text was a little like rash and I want to give this a fair chance. Let's just kind of take our time, because my sister had kind of put a little bit of pressure on this whole thing with the
more
whole,
than just a little bit.
With the whole "this is your husband" kind of thing, and I think that just weighed on me a little bit. Yeah. And you know, I just was like, let's just take it slow and let's just continue to get to know each other. My apologies for like kind of blowing off our time together this weekend and kind of telling you the thanks but no thanks. And anyway, so things turned a corner though, and we were able to move forward.
I was a little guarded though. Like it was like such a like back and forth. So at first I was like, "Are you sure? Like, are you fully invested? Or are you just gonna like, you know, do the thanks but no thanks thing again?" So
I mean, that's valid. That's a valid thought.
Yeah.
So basically, we just continued to talk over the phone. I mean, we were about 2.5 hours away from each other. You lived back near Nashville, and then I was at school about 2.5 hours away, and I went to Lee University. And yeah, we pretty much just spent hours upon hours talking on the phone and FaceTiming, and that was really how we got to know each other. And I would say after a good 2 weeks, we hadn't told each other this yet, but come to find out later, we had both decided around the 2-week mark, yeah, this is the person I'm gonna marry. So it's pretty crazy. I went from the thanks but no thanks to 2 weeks later, I was like, you know what, this is it. Like, this is the guy I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life. I come home for Christmas break in December, and that was the most extended amount of time together we'd spent. And that was the point where we actually started talking about, you know what, I think we are supposed to get married. So like 2 months into knowing each other, we started having the conversation of getting married.
Pretty much.
And so at that point, we both knew it was gonna happen. It was just kind of a matter of time. And so, yeah, it was just kind of waiting to get things like, I don't know, just get things in line. Like I needed to graduate from school. You needed to get, you know,
a big boy
higher paying job.
Yeah.
And just figure out, like, because we were both living at home at the time. Well, I was still in school, so I had a roommate in this townhouse, and so we needed to figure out like an apartment.
We were like in the middle of like a transitional season, and we
so
needed
there were
to
a lot of things,
you know, fully enter into the next season.
Right. So that was pretty much where things really accelerated, though, I would say. So our dating timeline was officially, I think, 6 months from like start to finish, and then it was end of May when we actually got engaged.
May 29th.
Yeah. You remember May 29th?
Yeah.
Okay, so you pick up from here.
Okay, well,
the engagement.
So we knew we wanted a short engagement too, because let's face it, we didn't want to waste time. But we both already knew, and so there's no point in having a long engagement if you're just so ready to be married. So because of that, you know, knowing all of those things, we kind of needed to sort of get a jump on things as far as planning a wedding before we were engaged, which sounds crazy.
I was that person.
Yeah.
I was like trying on no, I didn't try on a wedding dress. That would have been extreme.
you
But
didn't.
I was like venue
Looking
shopping.
for venues, all that
and,
stuff.
yeah.
So we had kind of tentatively decided on a venue. And so she went with her mom and checked it out. And I was thinking like, okay, it would be cool to propose at the same place we're going to get married. And so I thought, how can I get her back out there to where I can propose? And so I made it sound like my parents were jealous that her mom got to see the venue. And so I basically called her up. I had taken the day off work. She did not know that. I called her up and said, hey, my parents are dying to see the venue. Just meet me out there. You know, it was like a Friday afternoon or something like that. She was dreading it. I mean, 108% dreading it.
I was like, this is going to be so awkward.
Yeah, so
so awkward.
She's like driving and like crying, like I don't like. This
I'm crying
so
on my
weird.
way there. I was like, I'm not coming. Like, I'm not coming. This is so weird. Please do not make me do this.
So I'm thinking, you better get here, because if you don't, like, there's about to be a lot of problems. I jumped through a few hoops to make everything happen. So, yeah, do you want to pick up on kind of pulling up?
I pull in and there's no cars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm just the first one here. I'm just seriously, I did not want to be there at all. Well, I see this bench right next to where I parked, and there was a letter on the bench that had my name on it. And I opened the letter, and it was basically him kind of setting up this proposal, but he had written the letter 2 weeks into us dating. So the letter was, I'm writing you the letter that I'm going to give to you on the day I propose to you. So, so you can imagine the tears. It was very emotional to hear that he had really felt the same way at the same point that I did, and to read a letter that he wrote 2 weeks into us dating about the day he was going to propose. I don't know. It was pretty. It was
actually
cool.
A series of letters too. Like,
right.
There was, I think 3 for you to read. Mm-hmm. There was actually more kind of stuffed in an envelope kind of that I had, but it was basically, I had taken the time, you know, every time we had like a really special date or like even a hard conversation, I would just kind of document that and just kind of say, you know, hey, I really appreciate your honesty in this moment, in this conversation. I know it's hard, but I'm believing that when I propose and when we get married, that it's going to help us take leaps and bounds in our relationship and especially our friendship too. So
yeah, it's pretty
anyway,
cool.
So I was kind of documenting along the way of like, okay, you know, January we had a special date, March, whatever. So that's kind of how the letters worked.
Yeah. So I finished reading the letters, and the last one at the very bottom said to head into the barn. It was that kind of a venue style. And I walked towards the barn, and he comes around the corner, and he's already crying. And yeah, and you had, I think, one last letter to read.
Mm-hmm. I had the last one, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's when he asked me to marry him. And yeah, it was super sweet. I'll see if I can insert some pictures of our proposal in that little barn. It was pretty sweet. It's really special having those pictures. You have a photographer,
everything like that. Yeah. So
it was super sweet.
We did it right.
Yeah. So yeah, at that point, basically, we were like, let's get a move on things. Let's do this as quick as possible. We were so ready to be married. And we did a 4-month engagement, and luckily I already had my Pinterest board all planned. I mean, this thing was basically ready to go.
Yeah.
And so we booked the venue. I mean, I had, the venue, dress, I mean, all the big pieces of a wedding booked within the first month. I mean, we probably could have gotten married in a month, honestly. Because there were those middle 2 months where we just sat around. We were like, well, now we're just kind of waiting. So people ask.
Well, and her mom did a lot of the projects.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a big reason why, too.
Yeah, my mom helped a lot. But people ask us all the time, like, how did you pull off a 4-month engagement? And I'm thinking, we could have done it in 2, honestly. 4 months, like, that's felt like a long time for me to have to wait. So it's totally possible to do a short engagement and still have the wedding of your dreams. I don't feel like we skimped on anything. We didn't cut corners. Like,
no.
I got everything I wanted and planned the wedding that I always dreamed of in 4 months. And I could have done it in a shorter amount of time. So that was basically the whole summer, was us planning our wedding, and we got married on September 27th. And we still had not known each other for a full year by the time we got married.
But I'm proud of that, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I took the time to go, all in.
Yeah.
Get to know her as fast as possible and as well as possible. Be so intentional. And I think that's why we were truly able to do it. I think I wouldn't recommend a short engagement or a short relationship to everyone. But if you're going to be super intentional from the very beginning, I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah. We weren't like, I don't know, we weren't trying to waste time. We just both knew what we wanted. And it was like, we're either going to get married or we're not. That was kind of how we started out the relationship. It wasn't this like, oh, let's just kind of casually date for a couple years. I mean, it was pretty serious from day one. And we had amazing premarital counseling. I mean, that was a huge piece to why I believe our marriage has been so successful and so amazing, is we really invested a lot of time.
Of course, we've had challenges, but I feel like because of the premarital counseling, we kind of jumped over some of those hurdles because we kind of addressed it
through a
beforehand.
lot of things. Yeah. So we invested a lot of time, a lot of tears.
A lot of healing too, though.
Yeah, a lot of healing. Once a week for 3 months.
Yeah, 12 weeks.
We had amazing premarital counselors, and I'm super thankful for that time. I mean, it really set us up well. That's the piece I'm super thankful for.
Yeah.
And it was so funny celebrating like 1 year of dating was 2 months after we got married.
Happy 1 year.
I know.
We've
been married 2 months.
Yeah.
I know. But it was super sweet, and I wouldn't go back and do it any differently. I mean, I love our story.
I would do it differently. I would have gotten married 2 months sooner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. I would do it quicker.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just, I don't know, the time frame that we dated, got engaged, I mean, I think it was the perfect timing. It was exactly what both of us needed.
And we're ready for.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I was super young. Like, I had just turned 22, and you had just turned 25.
Yep.
So you were a little bit older, but I mean, 22, in the moment it didn't feel young, but now being 27, looking back, I mean, like, oh my gosh, I got married at 22. It does feel young, but again, I wouldn't have done it any differently. And we got, we have a baby now, and we got, 4 years of just the two of us, where we were still, in our early mid-20s, and just able to travel and have fun.
We packed in so much in those 4 years. I feel like we have like 10 years of memories in 4 years.
Yeah, so many Disney trips. Yeah, and just being able to go at a pace that we wouldn't have been able to go at if we had gotten married, later on, and then wanted to have kids right away. And so anyway, there's just so many reasons why I'm thankful for kind of the timing of our relationship and how we met and got married. So that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know if you have questions or just, I don't know, anything. If you are, in a relationship and you're wanting to kind of speed things up or get married quicker, or, we have a lot of experience
or how to
in that
plan
topic.
really fast.
Yeah, how to do things quick.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already. And
smash the like button. It really helps the video.
It really does, yeah. So anyway, all right, we'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.